Maya pressed her back against the cold metal table leg, her knees pulled tight to her chest. The diner smelled like grease and coffee. Her stepfather's voice echoed somewhere near the entrance, asking the waitress if she'd seen a teenage girl run through. 14 years old and hiding under a stranger's table, this was her life now. The boots in front of her were massive, scuffed leather with steel reinforcement at the toes. She could see tattoos crawling up from the boots, disappearing under worn jeans. Her breath came in short, panicked bursts. She'd run 6 blocks after her stepfather smashed a bottle against the wall, inches from her head. The 3rd time this month. The bruises on her arms were still yellow from the last incident. "You gonna stay down there all day?" The voice above was rough, like gravel in a cement mixer. Maya froze. "Don't answer, I can see you shaking." The biker shifted, and Maya heard the scrape of his plate being pushed aside. "Your old man." Before we continue, let us know in the comments where you're watching from, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the Ride for Justice. She nodded, forgetting he couldn't see her, then whispered, "Stepfather." The diner door chimed. Heavy footsteps, different from the biker's, stomped across the tile floor. Maya's whole body went rigid. "Excuse me, sir, you seen a girl come through here? Brown hair, about this tall, wearing a blue jacket." Her stepfather's voice was smooth, controlled, the voice he used with strangers, not the one he used when they were alone. "Lots of people come through." The biker's voice was flat, uninterested. "She's my daughter." Ran off without permission. You know how teenagers are. That fake laugh that made Maya's skin crawl. "Can't help you. Look, if you're hiding her, that's kidnapping. She's a minor." The chair scraped. The biker stood. Maya heard the shift in her stepfather's breathing, the slight step backward. "I said I can't help you. Breakfast is getting cold." Silence stretched for what felt like hours. Then footsteps retreating. The door chimed again. Maya's lungs finally remembered how to work, but she didn't move. She'd learned that lesson before, no times they came back. "He's circling the block." The biker sat back down, his voice quieter now. Saw his reflection in the window. "You got somewhere safe to go?" Maya didn't answer. Safe places didn't exist in her world. Her mother was gone, had been for 2 years, and the woman had chosen her new husband over her daughter's bruises and broken promises. "That's a no." The biker sighed. "All right, kid. Here's what's happening. You're gonna slide out the other side, walk straight to the kitchen like you work here, and go out the back door. There's an alley that connects to Harbor Street. You know where that is?" "Yes." Her voice cracked. "Good. Wait for me behind the dumpsters. I need to pay my check and make sure he follows me, not you." "Why are you helping me?" The question tumbled out before she could stop it. "Because I got a sister. She hid under a table once too. Nobody helped her." The biker's voice carried something dark, something final. "That ain't happening on my watch. Move. Now." Maya scrambled out from under the table, keeping low. The waitress saw her emerge but said nothing, just nodded toward the kitchen with understanding eyes that suggested this wasn't her first rodeo with domestic situations. Maya pushed through the swinging doors past a surprised cook and burst into the alley. The smell of rotting food and motor oil filled her nose. She wedged herself between the dumpster and the brick wall, making herself small again. Waiting had become her specialty over the past 3 years. Minutes crawled by. Voices from the street, her stepfather's, angry now, demanding. Then an engine roared to life, a deep throaty sound that rattled the dumpster. Maya peeked around a corner and saw the biker on a massive motorcycle, pulling away from the curb. Her stepfather was running after him, shouting. The motorcycle stopped, turned around. Her stepfather stopped running. The biker removed his helmet slowly, deliberately. Even from this distance, Maya could see her stepfather's face change, the color draining. Whatever he saw in the biker's expression made him back up, hands raised. The biker pointed down the street, said something Maya couldn't hear, then drove away. He circled back through the alley. Seconds later. "Get on." Maya had never been on a motorcycle before. The helmet the biker handed her smelled like leather and gasoline. She climbed on behind him, uncertain where to put her hands. "Hold on to the sissy bar if you're not comfortable," he said, pointing to the metal rail behind her. "We're not going far." The ride took 10 minutes. They left the downtown area, moved through an industrial section, and finally pulled up to a building that looked like an old warehouse. Several motorcycles sat parked outside. Men in leather vests stood near the entrance, watching their approach with expressions that revealed nothing. "It's okay," the biker said, feeling Maya tense behind him. "You're with me?" They walked inside together. The space was bigger than it looked from outside. Pool tables, a bar, couches that had seen better days. But it was clean, organized. Photos covered one wall, showing riders at various events, fundraisers, toy drives. Jake. A woman appeared from a back room, probably in her 50s, with short grey hair and kind eyes. What's this? Found her hiding from her stepdad at the diner. He's hunting her. Jake removed his vest, hung it on a hook. She needs somewhere safe for a bit. The woman studied Maya with the kind of look that saw through lies and bravado. You hungry? Maya realized she hadn't eaten since yesterday. She nodded. Come on. I'm Sarah. You can help me make sandwiches. Sarah held out her hand, and something about the gesture made Maya's throat tight. Nobody had offered her a hand in a long time. Everyone just grabbed, pulled, pushed. She took it. In the kitchen, Sarah worked efficiently, pulling out bread, cold cuts, vegetables. You got a phone? Someone we should call? No phone. He took it last month, and there's nobody to call. Sarah's hands paused for just a second, then continued making sandwiches. School counselor, teacher, tried that, twice. He's always so charming when they call. Says I'm acting out, making things up for attention. They believe him. Maya's voice was bitter. He's a manager at a bank. Wears expensive suits. Nobody thinks guys like that hurt their kids. But he's not your dad. No. My dad died when I was 7. Mom married Rick 3 years ago. Everything changed. Sarah handed Maya a sandwich and sat across from her at a small table. Jake's outside making calls. We've got people who handle situations like this, but I need you to tell me the truth. Has he hit you? Maya pulled up her sleeve, showing the finger-shaped bruises. Then lifted her shirt slightly, revealing a large bruise across her ribs from 2 days ago. Sarah's expression hardened into something cold and determined. That's what I thought. Jake returned with 3 other bikers, all wearing the same vest with a patch that read Iron Guardians MC. They gathered around the main room, and Maya felt small again, vulnerable. But their eyes weren't threatening. They were assessing, calculating. Her name's Maya, Jake said. Stepfather's name is Rick Jensen. Lives on Maple Avenue. Works at First National Bank. One of the bikers, a man with a thick beard and scarred knuckles, pulled out a phone and started typing. Rick Jensen. Got a hit. 2 domestic disturbance calls to that address. Mess dismissed. No charges filed. Complaints from neighbors about shouting but nothing official. He looked up, and here's something interesting. First wife filed for divorce, citing physical abuse. But it was sealed. He got off clean. How'd you find that? Maya asked. We got connections. People who owe us favors. Jake sat down, his expression serious. Maya, here's the situation. You can't go back there, period. But we can't just keep you here, legally. That's trouble for everyone. We need to do this right. What's the right way? Maya's voice was small. Sarah spoke up. We document everything. Photos of your injuries, written statement from you. Then we take it to someone who'll actually listen. Not a school counselor but a detective we know who handles cases like this. Someone who can't be charmed or lied to. And what about tonight? Maya asked. He'll be looking for me. Tonight, you stay here. Jake's voice was firm. We've got rooms upstairs. Sarah will stay with you. And anyone who comes looking will have to go through us first. The bearded biker grinned. I hope he does. Marcus. Sarah's voice held a warning. What? I'm just saying it would save everyone time. Jake stood and walked to the window, looking out at the street. There's something else. Rick's pattern escalating violence, hunting you down when you run, that's dangerous. He's not gonna just let this go. I know, Maya whispered. He said if I ever told anyone, if I ever tried to leave, he'd make sure I regretted it. That nobody would believe me anyway. The room went quiet. The bikers exchanged looks that carried entire conversations in silence. Finally, Jake turned back. We're going to make sure he's the one who regrets it. The legal way. But it starts with you being brave enough to tell your story to the detective. Can you do that? Maya thought about the past 3 years. The fear, the hiding, the constant walking on eggshells. The bruises she'd explained away as clumsiness. The isolation from friends because he didn't like her having a life outside the house. She thought about her mother, who'd stopped looking her in the eye months ago. Yes. Detective Linda Morrison arrived at the clubhouse an hour later. She was in her 40s, with no-nonsense eyes and a recorder in her hand. Sarah had taken photos of every bruise, every mark. Maya sat on the couch feeling exposed and terrified, but Sarah stayed beside her, a quiet presence. "I've known Jake and the Iron Guardians for 5 years," Detective Morrison said, settling into a chair across from Maya. "They've helped with 3 cases like yours. All 3 of those kids are safe now. So I need you to trust that I'm listening, and I believe you." The story poured out, not all at once, but in pieces. The first time Rick hit her, 6 months after he married her mother. The way he isolated her from friends. The destroyed phone. The threats. The escalation. Maya's voice shook through parts of it, and twice she had to stop to breathe, to push down the panic. Detective Morrison never interrupted, just took notes, and let the recorder capture everything. When Maya finished, the detective set down her pen. That took courage. Real courage. She pulled out a folder. "I've been building a file on Rick Jensen for 2 months. Another girl came forward, his stepdaughter from his first marriage. She's 19 now. Out of his house. And she was finally ready to talk. Your testimony corroborates everything she said. We have a pattern. So you can arrest him?" Hope flickered in Maya's chest. "We can, and we will, but it takes time to do it right. Warrants, formal statements, building a case that sticks. A few days, maybe a week." Detective Morrison leaned forward. "In the meantime, you can't go back there. Child Protective Services will be involved. Normally, you'd go to a foster placement or group home, but given the circumstances and the threat level, I can arrange for you to stay here temporarily. The Iron Guardians have a special arrangement with the state for emergency situations. It's happened before." Maya looked at Sarah, then at Jake, who'd been standing quietly in the corner. "I can stay? For as long as it takes," Jake said. "And when this is over, we'll figure out what comes next." Detective Morrison packed up her things. "I'm posting an officer on this street tonight. Just in case. And Maya, your mother is going to be contacted. She needs to know what's happening." Maya's expression went blank. "She won't believe you. Maybe not at first, but she'll have to make a choice." The detective's voice softened. "Sometimes people surprise you." After she left, Maya sat in the silence of the clubhouse, exhausted. The adrenaline that had kept her moving all day was gone, leaving her hollow. "Come on," Sarah said gently. "Let's get you settled upstairs. You need rest." The room was small but clean. A bed, a dresser, a window that looked out over the street. Sarah handed her clothes to sleep in, showed her where the bathroom was. "Sarah," Maya's voice was quiet. "Why do you all do this?" Sarah sat on the edge of the bed. "Because everyone deserves someone who'll stand up for them. That's what we believe." 2 days later, Rick showed up. Maya was helping Marcus rebuild a carburetor when the sound of a car pulling up too fast made everyone stop. Jake appeared in the doorway of the garage, his expression dark. "Maya, inside, now." She ran. Sarah met her in the main room, already moving toward the upstairs. "Stay in your room, lock the door, don't come out until I get you." Through the upstairs window, Maya watched Rick get out of his car. He looked wrong, disheveled, angry, not the controlled man who could charm his way out of anything. He'd been cornered, and cornered animals were dangerous. "I know she's in there." His voice carried through the windows. "That's my daughter. You have no right." "We have every right." Jake's voice was calm, but there was steel underneath. "Detective Morrison has a restraining order. You're not supposed to be within 500 feet of Maya." "That detective doesn't know what she's talking about." "Maya lies. She's always made up stories for attention." Rick took a step forward. 5 bikers moved to block his path. "My wife will tell you the girl's troubled. She needs discipline." "Your wife filed for separation yesterday," Sarah called from the doorway. "She's talking to the detective right now." Rick's face changed. The mask cracked, and what showed underneath was ugly. "You turned her against me. All of you. This is kidnapping. I'll have every one of you arrested." "The police are already on their way," Jake said. "You're violating a court order. That's on you." Rick lunged forward. Marcus caught him by the arm, twisted it behind his back with practiced ease, and forced him to his knees. It happened so fast that Rick didn't even have time to fight back. "Don't move," Marcus said quietly. "I really want you to give me a reason to hurt you. Please give me a reason." "Marcus." Jake's voice held a warning again. "I'm just restraining him. Totally legal." 2 police cars arrived minutes later. Officers Maya recognized from the previous days approached, and Rick immediately changed tactics, all charm again, explaining that this was a misunderstanding, that he was just worried about his stepdaughter. But the officers weren't listening. They read him his rights, cuffed him, and put him in the back of the squad car. Rick's eyes found the upstairs window where Maya stood, and for a moment, she saw real rage there. Then he was gone. Maya's legs gave out. She sat on the floor, shaking, unable to process what had just happened. Sarah found her there minutes later and wrapped her in a hug that felt like safety. "It's over," Sarah whispered. "The hard part's over." But Maya knew better. The hard part was just beginning. 3 months later, Maya sat in a courtroom and told her story again. This time in front of a judge, with Rick sitting across the room in an orange jumpsuit. His higher tried to discredit her, but Detective Morrison had built a case that couldn't be broken. Medical records, testimony from the first stepdaughter, neighbors who'd heard the violence. Even Maya's mother, who finally found the courage to admit what she'd ignored for years. Rick was sentenced to 4 years for multiple counts of child abuse and assault. The judge also issued a permanent restraining order. He couldn't contact Maya ever again. Outside the courthouse, Maya stood with Sarah and Jake. Her mother waited nearby, nervous and uncertain. They'd started talking again, careful conversations with a therapist present. It would take time, maybe years. Maybe it would never be what it was before. But it was something. "What are you going to do now?" Jake asked. Maya had thought about this question every day for months. Child Services had approved her staying with Sarah temporarily, and there was talk of making it permanent if Maya wanted. She'd started at a new school, made a friend, was seeing a counselor twice a week. The nightmares were fading, slowly. "I want to help other kids," Maya said. "Like you helped me. I don't know how yet, but that's what I want." Jake smiled, the first real smile she'd seen from him. "Then we'll figure it out, together." Sarah handed Maya a vest, smaller than the ones the bikers wore, but with the same patch. "Iron Guardians MC, you're one of us now. Official and everything." Maya held the vest, like it was made of gold. The leather was soft, worn by care and time. She put it on, and something inside her clicked into place. Not healing, not yet, but the beginning of it. The knowledge that she'd survived, that she'd found people who stood up when it mattered. "There's a girl in Riverside," Jake said casually. "Her teacher called us yesterday. Similar situation. We're going to check it out this weekend. You want to come?" Maya thought about the terror of hiding under that diner table, the certainty that nobody would help. She thought about Jake's decision to stand up to Rick, Sarah's gentle strength, the whole community that had formed around protecting people who couldn't protect themselves. "Yes," she said. "I want to come." The Iron Guardians rode out that afternoon, and Maya rode with them. The wind whipped past her helmet, and the motorcycle rumbled beneath her. And for the first time in 3 years, Maya felt something close to free. She'd hidden under a table to escape her stepfather, and she'd found something unexpected, not just safety, but purpose. Some people talk about helping others. Some people actually show up. Maya had learned the difference, and now she was determined to be the kind of person who showed up, who made sure that no kid ever had hide alone and terrified, hoping for rescue. The road stretched ahead, full of possibilities. Maya held on tight and rode toward whatever came next. The Riverside case turned out to be complicated. The girl, Emma, was only 11, and her situation was worse than Maya's had been. Her father wasn't just violent, he was connected, with friends in law enforcement who looked the other way. The family lived in a gated community where everyone minded their own business and pretended perfection existed behind closed doors. Maya sat in the van with Sarah while Jake and Marcus went to meet with Emma's teacher at a coffee shop 3 blocks from the school. The teacher was young, scared, and convinced she'd lose her job for speaking up. "This is different," Maya said, watching through the window. "Harder." "They're all hard," Sarah replied, "but some take more patience than others. Emma's teacher needs to understand she's not alone in this." That's what Jake's doing right now, showing her there's backup. It took 2 weeks. 2 weeks of careful documentation, of building relationships with neighbors who'd seen things, but were afraid to talk. Detective Morrison had to bring in federal authorities because the local police couldn't be trusted. Emma's mother finally broke when confronted with evidence that her husband was also abusing their younger son, a fact she'd been denying even to herself. Maya watched it all unfold, learning how complicated rescue could be. It wasn't always dramatic. Sometimes it was paperwork and patience and convincing scared people to be brave. When they finally got Emma out, she was different from Maya, quieter, more broken. She didn't speak for the first 3 days at the clubhouse, just sat in the corner of the room, knees to her chest, exactly like Maya had done under that diner table. Maya understood. She brought Emma food, sat near her without demanding conversation, and eventually told her own story. Not the sanitized version, but the real one. The fear, the shame, the belief that somehow it was her fault. "It's not your fault," Maya said on the fourth day. "Whatever he told you, whatever you think you did wrong, it's not your fault." Emma looked at her for the first time. "He said I was bad, that I deserved it. They all say that. It's a lie." Maya's voice was firm. "You know how I know, because nobody deserves to be hurt by someone who's supposed to protect them. Nobody." Something shifted in Emma's eyes. Not healing, that would take time, but recognition. The understanding that she wasn't alone. Over the next months, Maya became the bridge between the Iron Guardians and the kids they helped. She understood their language, their fear, their hesitation. She could sit with them in their terror and not flinch. Jake called her their secret weapon. "You make them feel safe," he explained one night, while they were packing supply boxes for a fundraiser. "We're big, scary bikers. Sarah's great, but she's older. You're proof that things can get better. That survival is possible." Maya had never thought about it that way. She'd just been doing what felt right. The fundraiser was Detective Morrison's idea, a toy drive and awareness campaign about child abuse. The Iron Guardians partnered with 3 other motorcycle clubs, and they shut down an entire street for the event. Hundreds of people showed up, families, kids, even some of the children they'd helped over the years, now older and willing to share their stories. Maya stood on a small stage, microphone in hand, and told her story to 200 strangers. She talked about hiding under the table, about Jake's decision to help, about the long road to recovery. Her voice shook, but she didn't stop. When she finished, the applause was thunderous. But what mattered more were the parents who approached afterward, quietly admitting they'd seen signs in their neighbors' homes, their children's friends. People who'd been silent but now understood the importance of speaking up. 3 more kids came forward that day. 3 more families that needed help. Maya's mother was in the crowd. They'd been working on their relationship for 6 months now, and it was still fragile. Her mother had moved out, divorced Rick, and was in therapy dealing with her own guilt and choices. Some days were good, some days were terrible, but she'd shown up today, and that meant something. "I'm proud of you," her mother said afterward, and her eyes were wet. "I should have protected you. I didn't, but watching you now, seeing how you're helping others." Her voice broke. "You're stronger than I ever was." Maya didn't know what to say to that. The anger was still there, buried under everything else. Forgiveness was complicated, not a single moment, but a series of choices. She wasn't sure she'd ever fully forgive her mother for choosing Rick, for looking away when she should have seen. But she could see her mother trying. That counted for something. "I'm working on it," Maya said finally. "We both are." Her mother nodded, and they stood together in awkward silence that was slowly, painfully becoming less awkward. That night, back at the clubhouse, Sarah found Maya sitting alone on the back steps, looking at the stars. The city lights made them dim, but they were still there, constant and unchanging. "Big day," Sarah said, settling beside her. "Yeah." Maya pulled her knees up, resting her chin on them. "Emma's doing better," she smiled today. "First time I've seen it. Because of you. You know that, right?" Maya shrugged. "I just talked to her."
"You did more than that. You showed her a future."
Sarah was quiet for a moment. "Jake and I have been talking. You're 16 now. 2 more years, and you'll be an adult. We want you to know, this is your home for as long as you want it. After you turn 18, after you graduate, whenever, your family now." The word hit Maya harder than she expected. Family. The concept had been so broken for so long that she'd stopped believing in it. But here it was, rebuilt from unexpected pieces, a biker who'd refused to look away, a woman who'd offered her hand, a community that had chosen to care. "I want to do this for real," Maya said. "Not just help out, but actually do it, maybe become a social worker, or a counselor, or something. Someone who can make a difference in the system. Then we'll help you figure out how. College, training, whatever you need." Sarah stood, offering her hand again, just like she had that first day. "Come on. Marcus made his famous chili, and if we don't get in there soon, those guys will eat it all." Maya took her hand and stood. Through the window she could see the clubhouse, warm light, people laughing, Emma sitting at the table next to Marcus, listening to one of his stories. Home looked different than she'd ever imagined, but it was real and solid and hers. She thought about the girl who'd hidden under that table, certain that nobody would help. That girl had been wrong. People did help, sometimes in the most unexpected ways. And now Maya was becoming one of those people, paying forward the rescue she'd received. The road ahead was still long. There would be more kids, like Emma, more complicated situations, more days when the weight of it all felt crushing. But Maya wasn't alone anymore. She had backup, support, a community that believed in standing up for those who couldn't stand up for themselves. She walked back inside, into the warmth and noise and belonging, ready for whatever came next. The girl who'd hidden in fear had become someone who faced things head-on. Not fearless. Fear was still there, but brave enough to act despite it. And that made all the difference.